Have you ever wondered how these massive companies, keep their digital worlds from just completely falling apart? Well, today we are pulling back the curtain on the technology that makes it all work, Active Directory. And we're not just going to talk about it, we're going to build our very own digital kingdom, right from the ground up. Let's dive in.
Okay, just picture this for a second. You're in charge of IT for a company with, let's say, 10,000 employees. That's 10,000 computers, at least 10,000 passwords, and this insane web of who's allowed to access what. So, how do you possibly stop that from turning into an absolute security nightmare? Well, that's the exact problem Active Directory was invented to solve.
You know, in the early days of networking, we had this thing called workgroups. And honestly, it was the Wild West. Total decentralized chaos, where every single PC was its own little island with its own users. Can you imagine trying to manage that? It was a nightmare. Then Active Directory comes along, bringing this beautiful, centralized system where one single identity, one password, gets you into everything you need. It was a complete game changer.
So, what is this thing really? At its core, Active Directory is what we call a centralized directory service. But let's be real, that's just a fancy term. The best way to think about it is like the ultimate multi-tool for your network. It's the phone book that knows where everyone is, it's the security guard standing at the door, and it's the rule book for the entire organization, all rolled into one.
All right, so every great kingdom needs a solid blueprint, right? And our digital one is absolutely no different. This is where we need to understand the logical structure of Active Directory, the genius design that's all about keeping things organized and under control. So let's look at the building blocks.
Right at the very top of our kingdom, we have what's called the forest. Now, this isn't just a bunch of trees. Think of it as the entire country. It is the absolute ultimate boundary for our whole digital world. Everything inside this forest has to play by the same set of rules and shares a common design.
And what does every country have? It's got states, right? Well, in our Active Directory kingdom, these are our domains. Each domain is kind of like its own state with its own set of laws and its own citizens, or in our case, users and computers and security policies. It's a super important layer of organization.
So if domains are states, what do we find inside of them? Cities. And these are our organizational units, or OUs. And let me tell you, this is where the real day-to-day management magic happens. OUs let you get incredibly specific, applying certain rules to certain groups, and, this is the best part, delegating control. You could let a manager reset passwords just for their own team, without ever giving them the keys to the whole kingdom. So useful.
So, this table really breaks it all down for us. You've got the forest at the top, that's the big picture. Then you've got the domain for your policies. And then the OU is where you get to delegate that day-to-day authority. And here's the most important thing to remember. This is all about logical organization. It has nothing to do with where your servers are physically plugged in.
Okay, so we've got our blueprint all designed. But how do all the different parts of our kingdom actually talk to each other? Well, that's where the network's nervous system comes in, and its name is DNS.
I love this analogy because it is just so perfect. If Active Directory is the heart, pumping life through your network, then DNS is the nervous system, carrying all the messages. Seriously, without it, your entire digital kingdom is basically in a coma. Nothing can find or talk to anything else. It's that critical.
So how does DNS pull this off? Well, it's way more than just a phone book for websites. Active Directory uses this special kind of DNS record called an SRV, or a service record. The best way to think of it is like a signpost. A domain controller puts up a big sign that says, "Hey, I'm over here, and I'm the guy you talk to for authentication."
So here's how that dance works. Your computer basically shouts out to DNS, "Hey, where can I find an authentication service?" DNS, acting like a really smart operator, looks at its SRV records and says, "Oh, you need to talk to this server right here." Then your computer just asks for that server's IP address, and boom, connection made. It's this simple, elegant process that's happening thousands of times a second.
All right, that's enough theory for now. It is time to get our hands dirty. In this section, we're going to walk through how to build your very own lab so you can bring this digital kingdom to life for yourself.
And you can forget about needing some giant server room in your basement. Thanks to virtualization, a decent modern computer is really all you need. You'll want a solid processor and plenty of RAM for sure. But, and I can't stress this enough, you need an SSD. It is literally the difference between your virtual lab feeling like a high-speed train versus a horse-drawn carriage. Here is your basic roadmap. First, grab a free hypervisor. Something like VirtualBox is perfect. Then create a new virtual machine and install a free trial of Windows Server on it. Next, and this is a really key step, give it a static IP address and point its own DNS setting back to itself. Then you just open up PowerShell, run one command, and bam, you have a brand new forest and domain. It's actually that easy to get started.
Okay, so you've got the blueprint. The communication is flowing. The foundation is built. But let's be honest, a kingdom without walls is just asking for an invasion. It is time to talk about the single most important part of this whole thing: security.
This quote right here should honestly send a chill down your spine. For attackers, Active Directory is the holy grail. Why? Because if they can get domain admin rights, they don't just have a key to one room. They have the master key to your entire kingdom. Security is not a feature you add on later. It has to be the foundation.
So what's their main strategy? It's this really sneaky move called identity crossover. What they do is they'll compromise a regular, everyday computer, and then they just wait. They lie in wait like a digital predator for a powerful administrator to log into that machine. The second that happens, they snatch those credentials, and now they can start moving through your network.
So how on earth do we stop them? Well, we build a fortress using something called the tiered administration model. It's a fantastic security strategy designed specifically to stop identity crossover. And the golden rule is incredibly simple. Your most powerful accounts, your admins, should never, ever be used on less secure computers, period.
And this table shows you exactly how to build that fortress. Tier 0, that's the crown jewels, your domain controllers. Only your most trusted admins touch these. Tier 1 is for your important servers, and Tier 2 is for all the everyday workstations and laptops. By keeping these tiers completely separate, you're essentially creating a digital moat around your most critical assets that is incredibly difficult for attackers to cross.
And let me give you two amazing and totally free tools from Microsoft to help you out. The first one is called Laps. It makes sure every single computer has a different random local admin password, which totally shuts down a common attack path. And the second is GMSAs. These things automatically manage the passwords for your service accounts, which gets rid of a massive security headache.
So we've laid out the blueprint, we've connected the nervous system, and we've started building the fortifications. You now have the fundamental knowledge to go out and build your own digital kingdom. But always remember, a kingdom is only as strong as its defenses. So let me ask you, you've built your kingdom, but have you locked the gates?